Okay, so what we're going to do is go into the lesson for this week. You'll notice there's only one lesson there because this is a little bit lengthy. As we discussed last week, you will need to do lesson 6 in code.org before you can move on to lesson 7. So what I'm going to do is move over to code.org, understanding that you are in unit 4 and that we are doing lesson 7. And it tells you here, based on the peer interview from the previous lesson, which goes back to what I was telling you, you're going to need to do lesson 6, identifying your user needs first. Each student comes up with an idea for an app that will address their user problems or their user's problem. Students then get to create their own paper prototype of the app ideas by drawing screens on individual note cards. A project guide directs students through the process, including building the app and testing it with their user to see if their assumptions about the user interfaces they created are accurate. So this goes back into where you interviewed a partner last week that wants to learn how to do something and the obstacles that have gotten in the way of them being able to learn this skill. So if we come in here to our lesson overview, which is going to be Unit 4, Lesson 6. I don't know what it'll be after lesson, maybe Chapter 1. That's what it is, Chapter 1. Using the interview information from the previous lesson, students come up with the app ideas to address the needs of their users. To express those ideas and test out their effectiveness, each student creates a test paper prototypes of their own. So right now it's showing up in teacher view. So let me let you see it in student view so you'll see what you have. So what you're going to have is your paper prototypes, computer science practices, and paper prototype. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this Google Doc to open this up, and this is going to force you to make a copy. What this is your rubric. You will not submit this. This is information for you as you're going through this process. So if you will open up the rubric, view it, it'll tell you about the key concepts and what we're looking for here. And then you can move into your computer science practices document. And once again, it's going to force you to make a copy. While that one is processing, I'm going to go ahead and start the next one so we do not have to wait. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Google Doc and make a copy on this, and then come over here, make a copy on this. And so we're going to do our practices reflection first, followed by our last document that we need to open for Chapter 1. Okay, so looking at this information, this is a practice reflection, and this is going to be a little bit difficult because it's kind of like, okay, what exactly are they asking for? Don't make it harder than what it has to be. So if you look here, it says how I've grown, practice, and how I want to grow. And then it goes into problem solving, persistence, creativity, collaboration, communication, and I believe that is the last one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over here for just a minute and go back into the teacher review. I want you to see that it's looking on this specifically for you, whereas this would be some actual examples based on this information here. So let me explain that a little bit better. You got your paper prototypes, which is the rubric for this right here. However, if you open this first, it may help you with this assignment. This assignment is about you. So let's go back to it again. How I've grown. How did you grow in the problem solving process? How you want to grow. How you've grown in persistence. How you want to grow. So think about the things we've done over the last few weeks and list how you've grown based on each one of these. And then list how you want to grow. So you want to continue with your problem solving, you want to continue with your persistence, continue with the creativity. So this is what we've done the last few weeks since the response here, and how you would like to continue as we move forward in the class. So then that's going to bring you to your next assignment, which is going to be your paper prototype. So when looking at your paper prototype, it says for this project, You will be creating a paper prototype of an app. Keep in mind, we've already done paper prototypes, and what it is a paper copy prototyping the app that you plan on building. So you're going to do a paper prototype of an app to help a classmate learn something new. You should already have interviewed your classmate and identified a barrier to their learning. You'll need to create an app that helps them overcome this barrier. Feel free to try creative new approaches to the problem you've identified, but whatever you decide to design, make sure you are empathizing with the needs of your user. So this goes back into what you did in Lesson 6. So the things you're going to submit is this project guide, the screens of your app. These were drawn on the note cards, so it does not matter to me whether you draw it on regular paper or you draw it on note cards, but you should have at the most 6 screens, a navigation diagram of your app showing how your user moves between screens, and a poster showing off your prototype and describing how it works. So if you come down here, you have define, which is going to give you a set of questions. Then you're going to have prepare. So if you look at prepare, it tells you in this space below, list the minimum features your apps will need, the minimum features your app will need to meet your user needs. Then you're going to continue down and it's going to go into sketch your screens. So it tells you on a blank sheet of paper, sketch out the outline of your screens and how a user will navigate between them. To keep your app simple, you should limit yourself to 6 screens at most. In many cases, however, your app may not even need that many. Some things to keep in mind, and then it goes into some bullets of some things that you should keep in mind. And then it tells you to try, because this is part of our problem-solving process. So you will be given note cards to draw the final version of your screen. Well, obviously, since we're not sitting in the classroom, you will not be given those note cards. You can just use a regular size sheet of paper, or you can reduce a regular size sheet of paper down to the size of note cards. Or if you have note cards, you're welcome to use those. So you've got 3 different options you have here, and if you could draw it digitally, you are welcome to do that also. So using pencils, markers, colored pencils, or anything else you wish, create the user interface of your app. So it's pretty well opened up for you, knowing that you're thinking of note cards as being about the size a phone app would be if you were displaying it on your screen. That's the reason why they keep saying you're going to get the note cards. Keeping in mind, I've opened it up to you multiple ways. Create your navigational diagram. And if you're not sure what it means by creating your navigational diagram, if you'll go look at our previous lesson that we did for Text Your Grandkids, it gave a navigation diagram of how the app should progress forward based on what was selected by the user. And then you're going to go into Reflect, and this is where you're going to need to take your partner that you interviewed, and you're going to need to test your app with your partner. And then interpreting the feedback, so you're going to do what the user said did and what it means, and if you're not sure, refer back to the Text Your Grandkids app. And then you're going to create a poster, and in creating the poster, combine the different pieces of work you've completed for this project to create a single poster. So when I tell you create a poster, you can do it on poster paper. You can do it on regular notebook paper. You can do it digitally. But do not go out and buy something extra to create that poster. And then once you have created that poster, if you did not do it digitally, then simply take a picture of it and upload the picture. So in addition to your brainstorm sketch, final user screens, and navigation diagram, make sure to include the following information. So you've got these 3 things that you're going to make sure you include in your poster. Think of your poster as the material that you would be presenting if you were presenting this to the class, explaining your app. If you look right here, this is what it is referencing when it's telling you to draw your navigation diagram. If you need a sample of a navigation diagram, go back to Text Your Grandkids, and you can see what the navigation diagram is based on the sample given to you there. And then you have user testing guide. This is test cases. Create user tasks. Fill in the left column of the table with different common tasks your user will want to do with your app. And then it tells you to test your prototype. So if you look here, this is your task, what you tried, my reaction. task, what I tried, my reaction. So think of this, okay, this is the task, this is what the user's going to try, this was the user's reaction. Okay, so I realize what I've given you is extremely cumbersome information, so I'm going to try to summarize it in 2 to 3 sentences. You are designing an app based on something that your user from lesson 6 said they wanted to be able to do, that they wanted to learn how to do. You're creating an app to help them with this. In creating the app to help them with this, think of what you're doing right now is the drawing board to get this app started. So before you actually sit down and write the code for an app, you are going through the little paper prototype to start taking your ideas and putting them together to develop the app. Things that you've used in the past that are very similar to this is when you're using graphic organizers. We're doing the same thing essentially here. We've just basically changed the name of it from a graphic organizer to a paper prototype because we're simply taking and graphically organizing the different screens that are going to be associated inside of our app that we create. So if you're on the Zoom sessions, I'll be able to answer questions. If for some reason you missed a Zoom question, just keep in mind I am available by email and on the county's chat and in Google Classroom.